Hi everybody, Steve Griffiths here, developer of the MTPredictor software program. In today's video I'd like to take a look at how the US E-minis unfolded yesterday. In particular, I'd like to look at this TS3 sell on a 3-minute chart of the YM, as well as look at the large degree picture on the 15-minute charts. And in fact, that's probably a good place to start because we covered this in our training webinar yesterday. So let's go and have a look at the 15-minute charts. If I clear the chart off here, remember what we do for the larger degree support and resistance. We have our DP tool, our decision point tool, in which we can place support and resistance areas on the chart before. Now that's very important, before the market even gets there. So these are leading indicators. So here's the 15-minute YM before the market opened yesterday. If we go to Advanced Chart Analysis, choose swing high or low, click on the prior pivot, which is here, you can see that we have our decision point target up here on the chart before the market even opened. Market comes up, opens up, and as you can see hits that decision point level, and in fact we actually get an automatic DP sell. But the point being is, if I scroll forward for the rest of the day, that is the area that basically held the market. In other words, it provided resistance for the day, and the most important thing is you were prepared for that area in advance, even before the market opened. Let's have a look at the other E-minis. Russell Index hit this level and actually went up a little bit higher. The ES is exactly the same as the YM. Here's our level that was on our chart before the market even opened, and as you can see, the ES bounced around this level before declining late in the day. So this also held the high of the day yesterday, and same with the NQ. And in fact, we also had an automatic DP sell, which actually would have come in right at the very bar of the high of the day as well. So here was our larger degree position going into and as the day unfolded yesterday on the US E-minis. Basically 15-minute DP resistance that held the high of the day. Now that is important because it sets your perception of how the rest of the day is going to unfold. It's like a roadmap, and we actually went through this in our training webinar yesterday. Okay, so bearing in mind that 3 out of the 4 US E-minis had hit 15-minute DP resistance, and that resistance had held, how could you use that as a trader? Well, you can come down to the 3 and 5 minute charts, and because the 15-minute chart was at resistance, you'll be looking for sell setups. Now in particular, I want to go and have a look at the YM. So remember, here's our 15-minute position at DP resistance at the beginning of the day. Market declines down. So the question being is, what would the advanced traders among you make of this TS3 sell setup? I have to stress that for newer traders, the STF was still blue, and this is the transition we make from new traders who just use the STF that gives you a broad idea of the large degree trend. However, as advanced traders, we know that all indicators are lagging. That's why we go to the decision point and the WP2 tools in MTPredictor, which are leading. And as an advanced trader, you almost take your stabilizers off your bike and you move from just using the simple to use STF indicator to the next level up, which is our 15-minute analysis, which I've just shown you already. Okay, so the advanced traders would have known that we were at 15-minute DP resistance all the way up here. So the 15-minute traders would have been aggressively looking for sell setups. And so if I scroll in here a bit, you can see that we got a sell set up here. If I put the analysis on, yes, this would have been stopped out, but the point being is that it would have been stopped out for a small -1 hour loss, which would have then come out here. We then had a second bite here, which was the high of this correction, and as you can see, that nailed the high beautifully. Market came down to our first level here, and as such, you could have been thinking about a 2.1 hour profit. However, what the advanced traders among you would have also been thinking is, because this was at large degree resistance, this was the initial move off the high, an ABC correction off that would have been into what we consider a wave 2. Therefore, the advanced traders among you would have been treating this as a holy grail trade setup, and in other words, would have been looking to not come out at the first target, but come out at the typical wave 3 WPT, which is our first target for our Holy Grail trade setup. In fact, I was going over the Holy Grail trade setup in yesterday's webinar before this trade setup unfolded, so all our customers should have been ready and waiting for this trade setup. So here we go, the market did come down to our first target here, and if I zoom in a bit, at this level you can actually see that the market just clipped the STF level. So the advanced traders among you could have said, right, okay, I'm going to use the ATR stop to run this a bit further, and if they had have done, it would have come down to here and been stopped out at this level. So if I put the profit target down at this level where the ATR stop would have taken you out, it would have been a lovely plus 7.2R profit. So a very good example of a good trade setup, and as you can see, plus 7.2R was much larger than the minus 1R loss, and that's the key to the MTPredictor trade setups: big profits and small losses. Even if you'd actually decided, I want to come out at the typical wave 3 WPT back here, just put the risk reward on again, even at this level it was still a lovely plus 5.3, 5.2 I think, if I do it a little bit, 5.1R. So let's call it 5R. So even at the typical wave 3 WPT, which is there, it still would have been a plus 5R trade, which would have been a very good trade indeed. But the point being is that this trade was set up because we knew in advance that the 15-minute charts, if I go to that, were all at DP resistance. Therefore we were anticipating that the large degree trend was down. Yes, the market went down a little bit further later on in the day. However, this was still a very good trade result. This wasn't the only market that caught the decline. If I go to the 5-minute charts and I skip through to the Nasdaq, you can see the Nasdaq gave a very clear picture here, because do you remember on the 15-minute chart of the Nasdaq, if I clear the chart off here, we had an automatic DP sell. So if you put your analysis on here, you could have seen the market was anticipated to decline down. So when the market made the initial rally down, initial correction up into this level here, at this point here is where we'll go to the 5-minute chart, which is this point here. So this was a very clear example of an initial correction down, wave 1, an initial rally up, subdivides into an ABC. Put the analysis on, market declines nicely into, at the very least, remember we're going for the typical wave 3 WPT. So we put the analysis on at the typical wave 3 WPT, and again another plus 5 point or just over a 5R profit. So it doesn't matter whether you were trading the YM on a 3-minute chart or the Nasdaq on a 5-minute chart. Both of these trade setups unfolded in what we consider our Holy Grail trade setup, and they were both set up because we knew in advance that the 15-minute charts had set their highs earlier on in the day. So great example of MTPredictor's leading indicators giving you areas of support and resistance even before the market got there, and then another great example of the Holy Grail trade setup that unfolded just after that, and as such a good profit that was much higher than the initial risk. And that's the key to successful trading, having large profits and small initial risks or small losses. So another great example of the MTPredictor Holy Grail trade setup yesterday.